Good evening and welcome to Behind the Headlines. My name is Timothy Nyangweso. Tonight we take our focus to the standard gauge railway, especially that the two presidents made a launch from Kisumu to Malaba, 370 kilometers. This is monumental in terms of connecting both in trade and humans to be able to move. When we look at the example of the Tanzanian railway and look at the Kenyan railway and look at how successful they have been, Uganda has had a few hiccups, especially between 2013 and 2014 when this idea was conceived. 2017, it's awarded to the Chinese firm. 2022, it is passed on to the Turkish firm. Today, we want to audit if they have gone ahead of us. What are we doing as a country to ease trade? Because it will reduce the cost of trade by 40%, especially with the locomotives that are there. It will also help us gain access to the ocean as much as possible. It will lead to connection to both Sudan, Congo, Rwanda, but the biggest question is, what are we doing now as the rest of the region is leading in this area? Let's put perspective to this conversation with the people in the studio. Let me get to my immediate left. Dr. Eli Twineyo, who is with us this evening, is the Deputy Executive Director at the Free Zone Agency there. He's with us this evening. Doctor, good evening, and it's good to have you.
Good evening, and good evening to viewers. I'm glad to be here once again. And I am more here as an economist who has taken interest in the role of railways and regional integration, not as a deputy of a Free Zones Authority agency.
Next to the doctor is Honorable Paul Omara, representing the people of Otuke County there. He's with us this evening. Good evening, Honorable, and it's good to have you.
Thank you. Good evening, Timothy, and good evening, viewers. I'm happy to be here.
The only lady right in the middle of the panel there, Honorable Proskovia Salam Musumba, is with us this evening. She's a member of the People's Front for Freedom and an eminent member of that committee. Good evening, and it's good to have you.
Yes, thank you. Yours truly, Proskovia Salam Musumba. I'm happy to be part of this panel talking about an asset, a Ugandan asset, the railways.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Next to Honorable Salam is Honorable David Bahati, the Minister of State in charge of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, is with us this evening. Good evening, Honorable, and it's good to have you.
Good evening, and good evening to you viewers.
Lastly but not least, General Wamala Edward Katumba, the Minister in charge of Works and Transport, is with us this evening. Good evening, General, and it's good to have you.
Good evening, viewers. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for all coming in and to discuss this patent topic there. And you can be part of the show. Go to our YouTube channel, drop your comment there. We'll let you know what we're thinking about some of those comments there. But also go to our X platform, drop your comment. Number for text or WhatsApp, 0709 60 25 92. Let's get into this conversation. And I'll start with General Katumba. Let's start with some numbers here, especially looking at when the president of our country and the president of Kenya met, they did two launches, one for Nairobi to Naivasha, and then Naivasha to Kisumu, then Kisumu to Malaba, which is about 364 kilometers, which will come as far as Malaba and Busia. Let me start with you, General. When we look at the standard gauge railway, as a country, what is the status now?
Thank you very much. What's the status now? Already we have awarded the contract to Yapi Mackenzie, the Turkish company, which is going to do the standard gauge railway, 272 kilometers from Maraba to Kampala. Everything is more or less done. They are now setting up their camps. They are constructing the slipper factory, the cement slipper factory, because the slippers on the standard gauge are cement, not the steel ones, and they're doing their final investigations on the route to include the tunnel areas and the station areas and all that. So recently they got some money on what we call limited notice to proceed, which has enabled them now to do all these nitty-gritties which are required, pre-start preparations. And so I think very soon we shall be we'll be seeing them launch the real start. The beauty is that for this project, we have got more than 70–80% of the land acquired. So we are not going to have problems of land acquisition as has been affecting most of the projects. And this means that the land from Malaba, Tororo, Mayuge, Iganga, most of that has been acquired. We only have land to be acquired between Buiku and Kampala. That's what is remaining. But as I speak now, we are set to go as far as construction is concerned.
You mentioned the sleepers being concrete and being worked on there, but also when we talk about Yapi Mackenzie that you have mentioned there, the timeline you had given them was 48 months.
Yes.
Which 48 months elapsed in 2028. Where are we with that?
Yeah, 48 months.
48 months.
Yes, that's the time we have given them. That is their commitment.
So when does the 48 months commence? Because
it commences from the time they start construction.
So not from the time
Not from the time they sign the contract.
So give us a few details. What happened with the Chinese farm?
What happened with the Chinese farm? Well, without going into a lot of details, there were issues with the Chinese farm. One of it was overcosting of the project. The project was overcosted, and when we went into the numbers, we found that we were going to take a very long time and also spend a lot of money in paying for the loan. And so it caused us to halt. And I can tell you that sometimes things happen for a good cause. When that happened, we were able to save about $17 million of the project if we had gone with the Chinese. So in a way, we have delayed, but again, we have saved some money through that process.
Lastly, General Katumba, talk us through the financing. What does it look like? What are those numbers?
The financing is still being, some of the financing is still being negotiated. The number of financing firms which have already committed to finance the project, African Development Bank, Citibank, they have all committed to finance the project. I think Minister of Finance has all this. The financing is more a matter between Minister of Finance and the contractor. But what I know is that African Development Bank is committed to financing, Citibank is committed to financing, and some other banks are looking forward. Even Islamic Development Bank,
410 euros.
Yeah, has also offered to finance.
So how much is the whole project?
I may not have that figure off cuff here. But I can make check of that.
No problem.
Yeah.
Let me come to Honorable David Bahati. Honorable, you hold the docket of trade, industry, and cooperatives. This, for you, must be something that you look at and say, this is where I feel like things are going to be easy. 40% seems like it's going to get trade easier because the container is between $3,000 to $4,000. When you look at this standard gauge railway, what is optimism to you?
Well, it's good news to us and should be looked at in the context of the bigger picture of the economy. As you know, our growth is now at around 7%. The economy is growing and has been growing steadily. The shilling is very stable. Our GDP is now 64 billion US dollars, and we are registering substantial growth of the economy. Our exports are now at 13.4 billion US dollars, and our imports around 16 billion. So the economy is doing well, but some of the things that we are trying to address are the cost of capital, the cost of transport, non-trade tariffs, barriers, and also improving trade facilitation. So the standard gauge railway, as you have said, currently a container from Mombasa costs us between $3,000 and $4,000. And with facilitation like the standard gauge railway, we think that that cost will come down. So it should be good news to the traders, should be good news to industries, because many of the industries transport raw materials to develop our economy, but also fits very well in the markets we have secured, the East African community, the African Continental Free Trade Area. So the standard gauge railway from Kenya to Uganda, you can imagine we are now exporting around 900 million US dollars to DRC Congo without a trade facilitation like this. You imagine if we had a railway connecting to Kinshasa or Goma, that would be classic. That would actually increase our exports. So the standard gauge railway is an important trade facilitation for us, and it's welcome. We want to congratulate and thank His Excellency President Museveni and President Ruto upon the launch of this leg of the standard gauge railway, and also to assure it gives confidence to our industries, gives confidence to our traders that actually the cost of transport is coming down.
You mentioned, and I got that here even in my notes, where you said exports at $13 billion, imports at $16 billion, leaves us with a deficit of about $3 billion. How is this going to solve that debt deficit impasse for the country in terms of trade? How will this enable it?
You know, one of the things that the standard gauge railway is going to resolve is the cost of transport, which is the cost of doing business. And we believe that when you increase exports, because when you reduce the cost of transportation, in a way you affect the exports. And when you reduce you increase the exports, then you are trying to reduce the deficit that we have. So this will actually increase our exports and in a way try to reduce the deficit we have currently.
This standard gauge railway is going to go through 12 districts. How do you, as trade, position yourself to take advantage? Because I looked at the one of Kenya. It goes through areas that are agricultural, and their target is to add value to this and ensure it reaches the port to Mombasa. What is it that you're going to do for these 12 districts?
Well, I think the Honorable General Katumba will let you know that when they were planning the standard gauge railway, they were targeting issues of mineral beneficiation, for example, and transportation of the raw materials. They were targeting agricultural growth and making sure that we have the raw materials or the transportation of the goods that we are producing using the standard gauge railway. So this fits into the plan that we have. People who are producing and want to export will be able to export easily because of the transportation. And people who want to do industries, factories, and want raw materials from out will now access the raw materials out by reducing the cost of transportation. So transport has been contributing 30–40% trade expenses. So the reduction of that cost actually will impact on the profitability of businesses, which in a way impact positively on the economy.
Thank you very much. Honorable Salam Musumba, part of these 12 districts, some of them are from the east. I have been to Kamuli as far as Namasagali College, where the railway was before 1977.
The late railway.
Your wording is chosen by you.
Yeah.
When you look at this project and what government is backing up, what do you make of it?
Well, it sounds good news. But this is one of the very delayed infrastructure developments that we have observed over the years. Your topic is talking about rewiring. When you rewire, it means that there was something before. And so you're looking at infrastructure built in 1896, the Uganda Railway, which was murdered about 1996, which this new generation of Ugandans, the average of 14 years, hear about. But this is a very important development infrastructure. that was deliberately delayed for political reasons, or maybe for purposes of, because there's no other reason. I remember Mr. Enos Tumusime as the last chairman, as the last CEO of Uganda Railways, would make a plea for the railways that use the rail and save the road. It's this very government that never listened. And when you look at the way asset stripping happened, the land was stolen. And so you keep asking yourself what the Honorable Minister is talking about, land acquired, land used, when it's all lying in ruin and waste. I hear things that I don't see from this panel. Just walk. I took pictures of the yard in preparation for my coming here, and it's all bush. So when I talk about the late railway and infrastructure that is lying in ruin, the biggest railway station was Ginger, and there's no sign whatsoever that there lived a railway line there. I'm really curious and hoping against hope that this will work, because standard gauge railway has been talked about for over a decade. I think it's included in all the 4 development plans. And yet there's nothing to show for it. If you recall that there was an importation of the wrong locomotives, the wrong wagons, is that part of what we are rewiring? The ones from South Africa.
And where are they?
Well, the people
we
are
shall
here.
put that to the minister.
The people are here to account for them. But there's been a lot of waste of time and resource and expertise. If, for instance, we were serious about the standard gauge railway, by now all the trainings of people who are going to service that line would be in progress. But they're talking about things that have no linkages, that will leave us again looking to other polities to provide for us the service. So the level of preparedness is not included in what so far has been discussed in public, and there's no document whatsoever to share with the public. It might be within the ministries on desks, but for me as a political party, I don't think those documents are available in the public domain as they should. You are talking about the East. Of course, there's no railway without the East. It's the entry point. It's the entry point, and you're talking about the districts of Busia, the districts of Tororo, the whole of Busoga region, and then across the bridge onto Buganda. The preparedness in Busoga is scanty. There's been a lot of surveying. The route, that's why you hear they're talking about that there's easy compensation, there's no land issue there. Because people have, in other projects, been told, offer your land for free. So, if you are to draw a map for the people that are viewing us, what is the line, the standard gauge? Is it the old line, or is it the new? Or is there a new? Are you rewiring the sleepers? In any case, the sleepers were smelted long ago. Standard gauge is only bringing goods to Kampala. Okay? That's the destination. So we need a bigger discussion of the entire infrastructure, the railway infrastructure. If you're talking about Malaba, Kisumu, are we funding that stretch?
Okay, that's why we're here.
Okay, and so it will be important for us to dive in the discussion when we have more meat on just the statements of standard gauge.
Okay.
Thank you.
What are your concerns about this whole project?
My concern is that it's going to be a white elephant again in my lifetime, because it's been 30 years since it died, or since it was murdered. And what happened is very clear to my mind. Look at the land, the railway land. Now you have Marriott, you have Mistil. What else do you have in the railway land?
Arena Mall.
Arena Mall, and down here, Pasha. You know, the policy shifts that have happened over the years were deliberate to delay the way the line has been vandalized. Vandalism, you know, that has happened to a national asset, and it being presented now as a miracle. It is not true. And if you were to share this Uganda railway, the one that came from Mombasa onto Kisumu, onward to Kasese, and the other leg onwards to Gulu and Pakwach, we don't know what we are talking about now. Okay. If there are new lines. So coming here, I was remembering the man-eating lions of Savo. and I thought that the man-eating lions of standard gauge railway are back at it, and maybe that's the biggest attraction for it.
Thank you very much. Let's come to the numbers. The numbers show, according to this, is that 15% will be contributed by government. The balance of that will be financing, and some of the financing has come in. The debt to GDP is at 52% now, the debt of the country. When you look at the money that is going to be borrowed, almost 75%, 85% of the money borrowed for this standard gauge railway. Do you have concerns about our sustainability of our debt?
Thank you very much, Timothy. Maybe first to give the numbers, the 272 kilometers that the Minister, General Katumba, talked about from Malaba to Kampala will cost us 2.7 billion euros, which is between 10 to 11 trillion shillings. The other one from Kenya, which is coming from Naivasha via Nakuru, I think up to Kisumu, will cost Kenyans $3.9 billion. That is 369 kilometers. Now, coming to Uganda, so this is not a small amount of money. If you look at it in real terms, given the size of our economy, the next financial year, Uganda Revenue Authority projects to collect 41 trillion. That is the full basket of our revenue collection. And a substantial amount of that money will go towards our debt settlements and so and so and so forth. Now, but if you look at our debt to GDP ratio being at 52%, in our Charter for Fiscal Responsibility, we allowed the debt to GDP ratio to grow up to 56% and then clow down to below 50%. Now, this is, for the country, is a strategic investment. And if you look at the output that it will bring to the country, the ripple effect on the economy will be quite substantial. As my sister has said, I will do it in a totally different way. this has been a project which has delayed for a long time. It has been long overdue, because if you remember quite correctly, about 10 years ago, President Museveni and I think some of the East African presidents had a launch at Munyonyo. And 10 years ago, Kenya went to work. As a committee of budget, we went to up to Mombasa. We used the train, came up to Nairobi, and then up to Naivasha, where it ended. Now they're extending that standard gauge railway to up to Malaba, which is quite an immense development. But for us, we didn't do anything. But I'm glad that finally it is something that we really want to do, because if we have no option, because Kenyans are already up to our doorsteps. And we were told at that time, Kenya would bring, one train would bring about 50 wagons, one trip. Now for us here, we have now to chop them into 10 wagons. We bring them here because we are doing the meter gauge. On the other side, they're on standard. So the volume of trade, that's why there is a complete jam at the border. But just to answer your question, I think given the fact that we have been running a GDP without oil revenues, we were told by the Minister of Finance yesterday that if we are lucky enough, in 2 months, we should be able to have the oil from Cabernet or Kingfisher coming out. So if we look at the $2 billion that will be coming every financial year to the country, I think it will provide the shocks, especially when we are going to do a strategic investment like this one.
Honorable Mara.
Because if you look at...
Allow me to interject
yes,
there a
please.
little.
Yeah.
You mentioned, we'll come to the Kenyan numbers,
Yeah.
but you've mentioned oil.
Yes.
How do we plan in anticipation of what we don't know? We have been pushing, this has been a moving target of oil.
Yeah.
For the last 3 financial years,
Yeah.
oil money, oil money, oil money. How do you plan in anticipation of what you don't know?
This one here, we are doing it without oil money, without oil revenue. As you can see, the Revenue Authority is they are going to add in the next financial year another 4.1 trillion shillings to our tax revenues. That's additional money that they will collect. So that is, and if the government will be able now to prioritize, this is a matter of prioritization and making sure that we invest this money in key strategic areas that will have a tremendous impact on the economy, so that we stop doing so many things at the same time. So we can still do this without oil revenues. But what I'm simply saying is in terms of sustainability, that in the next 1, 2, 3 years to come, because we don't have to pay these 2.7 billion euros now in 1 year. So it will be an extended period. Maybe it will be 20 years or 30 years. I have not yet seen the terms of the credit. The credit line, how it's going to be, because now this is money that should be arranged by the fund managers. So if we start paying this thing, maybe there's a moratorium of about 2 or 5 years before we start paying. By that time, Timothy, our oil revenues would have come. We would have maybe collected about $6 or $8 billion already, and therefore this one will not be heavy on the country. So I'm quite optimistic that we should have done this one yesterday. That's my only problem. You asked about the problem, is that we should have done this 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, because if you look at the traffic jam we are now facing on Ginger Road. Yesterday in our committee discussion with Minister of Finance, Honorable Minister, we were told on the other side of Kenya, it's up to a stretch of 50 kilometers into Kenya. The same thing is true for this side. Why? Because now, as you get to Malaba, the road narrows down to the border, and all the trucks are packed. Now, there's only a small corridor left for these trucks to pass. So what would happen is, when we put in this standard gauge railway along the route all the way from Naivasha to Kampala, it means all these heavy trucks, Minister, heavy cargo, We'll have now to pick them and put them on the rails. And then we clear up all this road and all this nonsense that we have been suffering from. And one of the benefits, of course, which we have been told, is that the speed of travel, the time taken, will be cut by 30%, which would be very good for us. It will increase the speed and the velocity of circulation of money, because the truckers will bring their things quickly to Kampala, sell them quickly, and go back. So even the traffic that we'll be experiencing on Ginger Road will basically disappear. And I hope that we shall issue, Minister, you'll be able to issue some ministerial instruments not to allow the heavy truckers be on the road. Let's allow now for us, the Wananchi, to go on that road. These heavy truckers now go away on the thing. So debt sustainability, I think we will be able to arrest it. Can we afford it now? Yes. What we need to do is prioritize. Prioritize will be okay.
Honorable Mara, the Kenyans, as I was watching what they were doing, 2024 cargo and number of passengers was up.
Yes.
2025 it dropped both in metric tons and also the passengers. But let's use our Ugandan examples. Have you passed by the bypass? Just the gridlock between Bwaisen and Namungona?
Yeah.
This road is 51 kilometers. Planned for $2 million per kilometer. Jumped to $9.2 million per kilometer. The most expensive road of 400 million. So explain to me how you have faith in government with this project.
It is...
let me add there the Uganda Airlines, just in case.
It is indeed above my pay grade. It is an executive authority. What we do as Parliament is basically to appropriate money, but how contracts are signed is between the office of the...
But you have oversight roles to this.
Yes, we do, but when prices escalate, and then, because several we have brought Attorney General to explain some of these issues, and the answer you get is it's contractual. If we don't pay, then we are going to be penalized as a country. There are closures, the clauses which are within those contracts. And one time as Parliament, we even said, maybe before these contracts are signed, we should look at it. But you see, there is separation of powers. You have the executive with the Attorney General's office doing the things, the work, which they have to do. But I think the only thing is we have to be patriotic.
Meaning what?
Meaning we should take the country first. We should take the country first and make sure that we protect the country. We protect outsiders from really duping us or from eating our money through some of very treacherous acts, which are some of the provisions which are in the contract agreement. We have talked severally here on this show about Bujagali. I mean, it was quite scandalous. We looked at it, we investigated it, we found the country was duped. But if you meet those who were there, including the ministers, they said, no, by the time when these people came, we had no human capital to analyze these things, and so now what do you do?
Let me tell you, we traveled as far as Washington to do a due diligence. And still we came knowing there was nothing. But government went ahead.
But you have power now.
Yes, I hear you.
So what we are assuming now, I think this is I think all of us are going to have our eyes on this thing. Because now it's the Ministry of Finance.
We had our eyes on the Uganda Airlines.
No, I think this is very critical. This is 2.7 billion euros. This is 10 to 11 trillion shillings.
Ugandans.
It's huge money. It's for Ugandans. So we don't expect that over a small period of time, these figures will move from 2.7 billion euros to 5 billion euros.
But you have the example of Mpigi.
It wouldn't make sense.
Of Mpigi. Just Mpigi is on the floor. Mpigi is live on us.
So let us leave the executive to do their thing. they have contracted. They have given us. We have the figures.
Have their thing.
We have the figures because by the time they arrived at these figures, they have done all the calculations and taken all the miscellaneous cost that would come. So we will hold their feet on the numbers.
I'm going to come back to you, General Katuma. Let me first finish with Dr. Eli.
It's really laughable.
Dr. Eli, both as an economist, but also a development strategist. General Katumba, who is seated with us today, said it would save the roads, it would reduce on accidents, the 5,000 people that we lose annually. He said also trade would be reduced from 7 to 12 days to 3 to 4 days. When you see the feasibility and see the northern route, which comes from Tororo to Nimule, the western route that comes from Kampala, Mpondwe, and Mirama, the eastern route that comes from Tororo to Kampala, does the feasibility of these routes and the reasoning behind it make sense? What should go before the other?
Maybe begin like this. That the two key enablers in development economics for any economy, and I have studied many, including the United States of America. By the way, one of the problems that you can define and talk about corruption in the development of countries is the building of railways in the United States. There was a lot of corruption in allocation of land. There was a lot of corruption in giving money and loans. It was dirty. It is, yeah, up to now, it is a sad situation. Notwithstanding, I have not known any economy that I have studied, and I've studied many, I mean it for the record, that has developed without a railway system. When I was studying as primary and I had the chance to study it even in secondary and university, they told us that, you know, the railway is a slow one, that the railway is what, but one of the only means of transport on land with a dedicated, its own dedicated road is a railway. And for the standard gauge railway, we'll come and talk about the costs. We have been using about 14 days for using the meter gauge rail. We are going to be using 24 hours. This is a big game changer because the two enablers for any economy is power and transport physical capital is the railways. Now let me talk about the importance to the whole Uganda and even DR Congo and Rwanda and Burundi. Once we get our standard gauge rail joined to the Kenyan one, then you are looking at, I don't mind wherever the goods end general, they will end in anywhere in Uganda, and then we can link them to South Sudan. For your information, South Sudan, the biggest inlet and outlet into South Sudan is via Eregu, is the Nimule route, and it is only through Uganda. And almost all cargo, I can use that without fear of interruption, that goes South Sudan will go through what? Just let me tell you, as I talk now, I am doing an analysis on the trade within the EAC and within Africa. And I am looking even at the importance of one-stop border posts. And when I am looking at the data pushes me to say even the goods that are going to South Sudan, they begin to tell me directly from Maraba and Busia. And then I want to remove them to push them to that line. But then there is DR Congo. If we are first to get the goods into this country, when I was working with USAID, when I was an expert and international consultant working with USAID project, they don't exist anymore. I went with my experts, my employers, Chemonics International. We went and crossed up to Kenya. I tell you for the fact that the road coming from the Kenya to Uganda was bent in. Officially, photographically, and the one going there was raised. A lot of trucks have been placing our road from there. Anyway, road transport is not an efficient one. There is privilege, there is everything, thugs, it is not, the accident is not, and it interferes with me enjoying my life. I normally promote make money and live life experiences. If I want to drive from here to Kenya and enjoy my life, I'm being interrupted by the trucks that are carrying bulk cargo. When you want to take, our main exports is coffee, and it has to go through Mombasa, and the best way would be by a speed rail. Cocoa is coming by speed rail. If we want to do maize maybe from Kasese and other places, how do we get it even within Kenya and East Africa very fast? So, notwithstanding the cost, and the cost, the politicians will talk about it. I'm talking about as a development economist. We need a good railway system. We need enough power, and we need connectivity overall within our region. We have one of the humongous markets for us now, which is the DR Congo. Soon peace will be in DR Congo. One day peace will be in DR Congo. That is enough even market for all our GDP. And when you add South Sudan, do you know we are exporting a lot to Kenya backwards? Do you know we are exporting a lot to Tanzania, but also to Rwanda? And some of the products that we export, we buy raw materials from abroad. That's why the import bill is still up, like for steel, and then process and take it back. So, and anyway, where will we end without modernizing this economy? By having modern rail transport. Thank you.
And you mentioned, first you mentioned data, then you ran away from the numbers, but then you remained with the data. So let's come back to the data.
Not here, not there.
If the trucks, and you've been mentioning we're exporting this, we're doing this side, power, we generate about 2,000 megawatts.
We need more.
And we're having the SGA, the standard gauge railway come online. But let me ask the practical one. The trucks you have mentioned that are stuck at the border, Honorable Mara mentioned them. What happens to them when this business, when the SGA is on route?
Yes, thank you very much. Alternative business. The trucks originally shouldn't be to carry cargo from here to Mombasa. No, they should be carrying cargo to certain centers, and the trains would pick them and take them. So they will have alternative business.
And my last question.
It's just my issue.
All these three countries, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, will have the standard gauge rail. What is the comparative advantage? Because all of them are going to connect to these areas you're talking about. You're talking about DRC, you're talking about Sudan. You're talking about even as far as Burundi and Rwanda. What comparative advantage will we have over them? Because Dar es Salaam to Dodoma was 4 hours. It's now 2 hours or 1.5 to get there. What is the comparative advantage by the time ours comes on? Peaking from Uganda Airlines versus Kenya Airways. What is the comparative advantage we have?
The comparative and competitive advantage we have for Uganda is that we have a central location in this region, by the way. All goods come whether from the borders, from wherever, they come to this, and we are look at us as a logistics hub. Look at us as a logistics hub. So from us, you link all these other regional countries. As you know, do you know products live here, they go to Congo, Brazzaville, and they continue all the way to West Africa. And then you go to even the center of Africa. Do you know goods can come from here and end up in Sudan, Khartoum, if we don't have instability? But the truth is, we will be more competitive, by the way, than most countries. And please remember, we still have a catchment market of DR Congo. We have South Sudan. We still have Rwanda. Burundi is small. We export about 70 million. Small, but isn't it even what we export to United States of America, which is talking about Banyago and the rest? And people are obsessed, spending a lot of money on our budget. So, but let me tell you, Timothy, anyone should vote for this kind of railway system. We know the speed. It will run at 120 kilometers per hour when you are taking cargo, compared to 35 kilometers, this crawling meter gauge rail. For the cargo, it will be 100 and maybe 26, 25. Speed is of importance. Those who want their raw materials, like example of iron and steel products, base metal and products, which have become one of our major exports, will need their raw materials to be here very fast. So in business economics, the speed to the market is of paramount importance. A speed to the market. If I cannot get my raw materials very fast and process them and sell, then I'll be uncompetitive. But if I have fast transport and I have other enablers, including power, and I beg government, General Sir, that we need more power. What we have is not enough. We need actually to achieve a 500 million to 1 billion US dollars. Normally the standard would be about 20,000 power watts and more. Megawatts. So you should begin to think about that one. I want to talk about debt sustainability. Our debt is sustainable, and Honorable Mara has told you. By the way, we are all busy at campus. We grew together. He has more money and is a honorable. That's why I'm suffering. He sandwiches me. We all know, me and him agree as economists that the debt is sustainable, and with our target in the next 15 years of exports will be at least 100 billion and above, including oil. But I have made another analysis being discussed in different places, and I've shown that there are other game changers outside of oil which can give us a lot of money. And even the quick example is the rare earth elements. If we do good on rare earth elements and gold, and we have enough gold in our country, and then our iron and steel, and the big factory can do it, we should even get more money from non-oil exports. We will get more money in the non-exports. And I have a list of more than 15, and my trend analysis has brought it up.
We share your opinions in here. Let me come to you. I know you have a few things to respond to, so I'll give you audience to respond. Yes.
My aunt, Honorable Salam Musumba, will oppose me, but I am optimistic. And the numbers are guiding me. The numbers are guiding me.
The biggest danger we have is falsified economic figures and falsified intelligence. Those are the two biggest problems of this country, which we suffer from.
Yes, I have a number of responses. When we accompanied President to witness the launch of Kisumu to Maraba, President Ruto in his speech said, the naysayers, those doubting Thomases, who have been doubting us, now they can sleep. I've had some doubting Thomas on this panel.
You mean you heard it from President Ruto?
but I want to
actually
I want
you need
to tell
to
the doubting
more.
Thomas.
You need to doubt more if you're talking about that one.
We are moving.
No way.
We are moving. Let me make this clear. The standard gauge railway was conceived as a regional infrastructure project. Yes. It's not a one country. It's not Kenya, it's not only Uganda, it was a regional, East Africa.
8 countries.
Yes, that's how it was conceived. Now, Kenya started because they command more of the entry on the northern corridor. Now, you remember the cry of my Honorable Musumba has talked about the white elephant, and that has been the fears in many people's hearts, including some funders. When they were saying, Uganda, how are you now moving to start the standard gauge railway when Kenya is not going to connect? That has been answered.
Yes.
The events of this weekend have answered that. Yes. The fear that Kenya will not connect is out. So Kenya is connecting. We shall connect. Now, Madame Sumba was talking about the land for standard gauge. These are two different systems. The standard gauge is a different system from the meter gauge. The meter gauge is the one where the lions ate people. The one which goes, the one which goes in curves and curves and curves.
Yes, yes.
Now the standard gauge,
Yes.
more or less runs on straight alignment. It doesn't take it can't take those big curves because of the speed. Yes. That's why it's more on a straight stretch. That's why we had to acquire different land, not to use the land of the meter gauge. Okay, I hope that was clear.
Yes.
So that's why we acquired different land and different alignment, and that's why you find that in some places this standard gauge is going to go under tunnels. In Mabira we had even to to be very careful not to antagonize the environment. So these are two different systems. And so that's why they're running at different lines. That's why we can't use the land of the meter gauge to do it. In some areas, they may run close by, but in most of the alignment, they're different. Honorable Musumba, even as we speak now, much as you say the meter gauge is not, it's there, because I can give you evidence. Roofing depends on meter gauge to bring all their raw materials, the billets, the coils, which they use in their you can even go, because they're here in Namav, you can get the evidence. Bulk grain, they use the railway, the meter gauge. We have rehabilitated the meter gauge from Kampala to Malaba. We are rehabilitating the meter gauge from Tororo to Gulu. So as we wait for the standard gauge, the meter gauge will be working. Yes. The same thing is happening in Kenya. The meter gauge also was rehabilitated. It is working alongside with this meter gauge. So
standard gauge.
Have no fears. The only problem we have with the meter gauge was the Busoga line. The Busoga line was eaten away by my brothers, and they took away the land, and I can't get the land back.
You
but
can, if
otherwise, the meter gauge is working.
Because all these stations are rotting. They're
Which ones?
ruin. I'll give you the one of Namwendwa Station. I'll give you the one of Kasambira. They're there.
You ate the line?
No, we did not. We did not. We did not.
So they
ate the lion.
No. This time they ate the iron lion. The iron. So this is what I wanted to explain, that these two systems are different, but they're working together. And the meter gauge will still be working, because also the standard gauge construction materials will be carried by the meter gauge as they do the construction. So there is no contradiction as to why we are maintaining the meter gauge and the standard gauge. And because we may not be able to take the standard gauge everywhere at the same time, again, because of course we have had $3 billion for 272 kilometers. Taking it to Kasese must be much more than that. Yes. And taking it to Gulu could also be much more than that. Yes. And yet we have to send goods in those directions. Yes. So we have started with the meter gauge to Gulu, because we even have a logistic hub in Gulu, which is ready to receive all the cargo. And after that, we shall, instead of doing a meter gauge rehabilitation to Kasese, we are going to do a standard gauge straight away. Yes. To avoid, again, doing a meter gauge, and then you do a standard gauge. Of course, Honorable Musumba, it's easy to blame the sitting government. But you know what this country has gone through. All those lines were eaten before even 1986. They were not there.
They were there. Because when we were divesting, we were divesting.
Which trains were running on those lines?
They were.
Nothing.
They were.
So, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to clarify.
Yes.
On the standard gauge. So we are now good to go, because we can connect with our brothers. Even with Tanzania, we know, yes, Tanzania is going to do a standard gauge, and they're doing that from Dar es Salaam to Mwanza. We are going to connect with them with the vessels. The vessels on Lake Victoria are already working. Pamba is working, Kawa is working, and under African Development Bank, we are getting 2 more vessels to ply those routes. Yes. Very soon, we are going to divert at least 90% of the fuel from tankers on the road to using tankers on the rail. Yes. So that, because we are getting the fuel from Kisumu, the pipe comes from Kisumu, and now we have calibrated all the railway tankers for fuel, and so we are going to be moving it with the, most of the bulk fuel coming to Uganda through water to Jinja and Kampala. So these systems are working. It's Madam Sumba, you are saying you have not seen the documents. Please come to our offices.
No, documents must be
we can't just put them there.
I don't need to come to your office.
If you are interested.
No, I'm interested.
Yeah.
And every Ugandan who is a taxpayer is interested.
There is a
give us what is public.
There is a full project, yes, a full project team running which is going to run they oversee the construction of the standard gauge railway. And their offices are open. Even recently we had a stakeholders meeting, open, and we even called the potential service providers.
Do you have a public
Open.
hearing,
It was
for
a public
instance?
thing.
Do you have public hearings?
We will have it.
Because in the context of governance,
Yes.
it is public hearings that must be commissioned for the public engagement, not stakeholders. Because you determine who you invite, who you inform.
We don't. It was a public thing.
Meaning what?
We put it in the papers, potential service providers, those who want to have, like what the guys of the pipeline did. We followed the same structure, and we had people turn up and they asked the questions.
My understanding
so we cannot
is
find
that
people in their political offices.
No. We need public hearings.
We shall have it. You have asked for
and
it.
please understand the terminology called public hearing.
We shall have it.
Because it's technical.
Okay, we shall have that. Now, I would want to support the economist about the advantages which Uganda have. You see, even as we develop our infrastructure here, we should be cognizant that the infrastructure we develop in Uganda is not only for Uganda, by the way, because we are like a dispatch point for East Africa. There is no goods which go to Eastern Congo without going through Uganda. South Sudan, you have to go through Uganda. Rwanda, Uganda. So as this infrastructure which we are developing, yes, they may be for us as a country, but we also serve our neighbors. And so that's an advantage to us. And so the system which is now being connected will give us a lot of advantage, because they don't go through here free anyway. There are some taxes which we charge. When you look at the trade now between us and DRC, a few years ago, I think it was about 578 million, $900 million. Now we're in 2.3 billion because of the connection. So we have an advantage. We are talking of exporting 12 million bags of coffee. That's our target. How shall we do it relying on the trucks which clog the road? And these trucks, as you know, it's a lot of disadvantage, not only to trade, but even to road safety, even to maintenance of the roads, because it takes a lot of money to maintain these roads than putting off this cargo and put it on the I think you have observed on this road, you see these big coils, which are the raw materials for roofing. Yes. Every truck carries 2. Every truck. Yes. One train yes, can bring 40 or 50 of those. Wow. So you can see the advantage. And the standard gauge, on the other hand, has a lot of advantage. Apart from the speed, it's double stack when you do containers. Yes. One container on top of the other. Yes. So the cargo which can be carried in one go is enormous. And so it has a lot of advantage. And so in
Is
terms...
it a dual rail?
Yeah?
Is it a dual rail, or is going to be one?
It's one rail.
So it has to stop as it comes?
No. We put bypass stations. Yes. As we construct, we have bypass stations.
And that's modern?
Yeah. One is going this way. It's a timing. There's signaling.
we are still in signaling.
Signaling is part of training.
No, come on.
Whether it is electrical, whether it is what, you must have signaling.
I think we could have benefited from advanced technology.
No, Madam,
signaling
signaling is not this one. That's what we're talking about.
It sounds like, it looks and sounds like that. Or
we're talking about
this kind of
modern signaling, radio communication and all that.
Okay. Thank you. Honorable Bahati had something to add.
No.
Honorable Paul, let's hear from Honorable Bahati.
What General Katumba is saying, certainly we hear the views of the Honorable sister. But ready to confirm to you that the best days of this country are still ahead of us. They are not behind us. So talking about the late is taking us backwards when actually we are all focusing.
You say you are recycling, you are repeating the very things
but
can I
first make this point?
Okay.
That as we build these integrated transport systems, we are saving a lot. Standard gauge railway, the other railway, the meter gauge, the water now. As you know, now we are transporting our fuel on water. Yeah. There's that system. We are trying to ease. Even when you look at the man hour we spend on the road in jam, taking almost 2 hours from Mukono, how many hours each day we waste in terms of money? That is a lot. So this really works in the framework of building an integrated transport system. Standard gauge railway, the meter gauge railway, water transport, then exporting the transport.
And
I saw to that Katumba would grow.
Expressway.
I thought General Katumba would also make a comment on this cost that you raised, the moderator, about this northern bypass. It was northern bypass which you talked about? Yes. Sometimes we need really not just to look at the figures to say a kilometer cost us 2 million or 4 million. We need to look at what was the layers of the roads, how many bridges were there, what traffic volume is there, for how long it is built for. So when we build one layer, you can use 100,000. But if you are going to do how many layers of the road, you build more. So it is important to go into details. While I don't agree and support any cheating of our money, but I also don't support that we should just take a blanket statement that this was the worst, the most expensive road in the
most expensive roads, because I've been saying Entebbe Road is the most expensive. So now Northern Bypass is the most expensive. I don't know which next one.
So it is important. But I wanted to go back to really the importance of this infrastructure in terms of developing our continent. We signed African Continental Free Trade Area, and so far about 46 countries have signed to be part of this arrangement. A population of 1.5 billion now, and in 26 years, we shall be 2.5. So African continent will be the most populous continent on earth in the next 24 years. That's very, very important. But how would we benefit from this trade? How can we continue, for example, importing steel of $1 billion US dollars into Uganda, 3 billion in East Africa, almost 6 billion on the continent, when we have the largest deposits of iron ore in the world? For example, in Chigeze, where I come from, we have a deposit of 312 million tons of iron ore, but we continue to import 1 billion. So the standard gauge railway, as we move and connect, one of the challenges we have to set up a factory in Chigeze for steel is that a reducing agent, you need reducing agents to make steel out of iron ore. But we don't have the gas, we don't have coal. So we have got to transport coal from Tanzania and transport it to Chigeze, to go to Muko or to go to Kabale. You are transporting by what means? You imagine if lorries were transporting coal from Tanzania up to Muko. The damage on the roads, the inconvenience on the... But so these modern methods, modern transport means are really going to help us a lot. And they're also going to, at African continental level, we've been talking about this, AU, where we are committed to building infrastructure across the continent to take advantage of this market of 2.5 billion in 24 years. So we are looking forward to having interconnectivity on the continent. And this is an argument we made when we were passing a loan. When I was at the Ministry of Finance, passing money to build roads in DRC Congo. And people were saying, how can you be building a road in DRC Congo when we have potholes here at Namongo? Congo. And we made a point and we say, you know, this is a strategic investment. We need it to connect. At the moment, we are exporting how much to DRC Congo. So you need money from these countries to build your own economy. And to do this, you really need infrastructure. We need, the other day when I was in Nairobi, President Ruto was saying that it took 4 days to transport things from Nairobi to Accra in Ghana. You imagine 4 days, 4 days. So we need a railway from here, from Mombasa to Kinshasa to Khartoum to Lagos. And when we do that, it's when Africa will be a continent of the future.
Thank you very much. Let me read some feedback that has come through. Good evening, Timothy. This is Maurice from Makerere University. Allow me to say the occurrences in our country is very concerning. It appears that our development ends at newspapers because we read many commissioned articles, the railway, even the money attached to it. Can the minister throw light on what happened to the funds for the commissionings done previously? Finally, what assurances can we get that this won't end up on the paper, and also mechanisms that it will put in place to punish money predators that may want to disrupt the work? This is Maurice. Okay, thank you, Maurice. Another one says, good evening, Timothy. This is Muzaffaru Isabri, aka from Busoga. What will the standard gauge railway benefit the Wananchi who grow maize to get what they eat? Many affected persons are still waiting for compensation. The Honorable General Katumba will speak to that. From the concerned persons. Greetings to Honorable Salam Musumba and General Katumba. Thank you. Thank you, Timothy, for the show. Please ask the Honorable Minister how he will manage to supervise such a huge project without failing with the precedents before him. Minor projects, scandals, change of number plates. Interesting. Finally, good evening, Timothy and the panelists. The standard gauge railway is a game changer. Uganda's economy and regional commerce will improve significantly. It will boost industrialization, enhance trade, it will reduce the cost of transport, and then create jobs for all of us. He also continues and says it will improve connectivity, environmental benefits. The standard gauge railway is part of Uganda's Vision 2040, the National Development Plan to transform our country, therefore. Let's leave it at that. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be analyzing this and more.
So, Muchala.
Yes, Daddy.
You know the children are going back to school and things are a bit tight, huh? For now, why don't you take half of the fees to junior school, and for the school van contribution, we shall pay later, huh?
Daddy, why don't we pay using MTN Momo, where we stand a chance of winning school fees for a whole year and more? By the way, you can also apply for a school fees loan, and also participating schools can win a school van.
That's right! Win school fees for a whole year and more. Get Momo goodies and a school van for participating schools. You can also apply for a school fees loan. Simply dial *165 *80# or use the Momo app.
It's back, bigger and with more business opportunities. It's the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, Poate 2026, Uganda's flagship tourism event. Poate 2026 will take place from the 21st to the 23rd of May 2026 at the Speak Resort Convention Center, Munyonyo, under the theme Wanderlust. It's your time to thrive. Yes, it's your time to tap into Uganda's renewed optimism and tourism growth. Tourism stakeholders, travel trade partners, and tourism enthusiasts will be part of the Poate 2026. Come and network with like-minded people and unlock new business opportunities. To participate, register at www.poate.co.ug. Poate 2026 is brought to you by Uganda Tourism Board and partners.
The government's core mandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and
entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project. That answers somebody's question.
The Front Bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
When you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers, you bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house, apply for a passport.
If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
Welcome back from that quick commercial break here on Behind the Headlines. My name is Timothy Nyango. So I'm joined by eminent persons discussing the standard gauge railway, especially the launch that happened over the weekend, Kisumu to Malaba, and we're looking at that and this excitement, especially because it's a momentous occasion. This infrastructure is good for development and connectivity of trade in this country. But let's get to the conversation here. General Katumba Wamala, how do you insulate this against corruption?
Which one?
The whole project.
The whole project.
Because the raw materials, you expect them to be made from here.
At least the sleepers, yes.
The sleepers here.
Yes.
There are contracts that you have said you had stakeholder engagements on people who want to supply.
Yes.
So how do you insulate it against inflated prices, corruption? Because we have had those same issues, Uganda Airlines there, and different things like roads.
The contract is an EPC and F. It's a turnkey project. Once the money has been agreed, as we've had, $3 billion, 2.7 million euro, that is the money. The contractor is supposed to deliver the project, turnkey. So it's more than it's not Katumba going to be doing this. No, it's the contractor. Now that is his contract. That is his project. What we want is a turnkey project, a finished project within that money.
So what is the
deliver quality and on time?
What time
within that money?
What time scale are we looking at now?
48 months.
Which start when?
I said we start at the time of construction. When you'll see us doing the construction,
yes,
that is the time we start counting 48 months.
Now when you see them having a ceremony,
no,
signing.
I think maybe, General, what we are trying to...
as they flag
General,
off,
General, what...
Another ceremony.
No. That one was flagged off by the president in November. We don't need to have another flag off.
But General, maybe people want to know the estimated time of the start of the construction. I think that's why he's insisting.
Yeah, the start of the construction will be also, we are looking at June, July.
Yes.
Because that's when the financing arrangements will have been finalized.
Yeah.
And all the negotiations for the financing arrangements will be through.
The next financial year.
Yeah.
The standard gauge railway in Tanzania was made
from now.
Yes.
The standard gauge railway in Tanzania was made by half the price that was the Kenyan standard gauge railway. The Kenyan standard gauge railway, especially all the way from Nairobi to Naivasha, the cost is between 800 million to 900 million Kenyan shillings. And they say it's very expensive. How will you ensure that there is no sleepers in there? Because you said we have, what are they called, where the stopovers are?
Stations.
Stations.
Yes.
How sure are you that they're not going to be scrupulous people taking advantage within this project to inflate some of these things? Because I know you say turnkey, but
one thing, I cannot talk for Tanzania, and I cannot talk for Kenya, because I don't even know what kind of the contract framework, what frame of the contract, the scope was done, and what scope is there. For example, I'll tell you that for starters, I saw that in Kenya there are so many stations, passenger stations. We don't have those numbers. We don't have so many numbers of passenger stations. So I cannot talk about why Kenya saw that much cost and why Uganda. And also the terrain is different. The terrain in Tanzania is different. The land law in Tanzania is different from ours.
General, just for information.
Yes.
The one from in the Kenya
Narok
part.
Narok,
we are going to have 35 new stations.
Yeah.
108 bridges.
Yeah.
14 tunnels.
Yeah.
So
the terrain is different.
It is quite a massive activity, which is
part of that. Part of the line goes through the Rift Valley, and you can imagine what kind of structures will challenge. In Uganda, for example, madam, we are not going to use the old bridge of the railway. There's going to be a completely new bridge over the Nile, totally new, and that's also a structure which will take its own cost, its own time.
Finally, General,
to build.
Even as we acquire these, you and I have been to Sese, and we know that the ferries have to leave there to go and get service, get repairs, all the way in Mwanza. Yes. What is our maintenance plan?
What's our maintenance plan? Yes, we under the African Development Bank facility, which we are now running, where I've told you we are going to get even 2 more vessels. One of the things we are going to be developing is a maintenance facility at Port Bell. But also, in the development of the Bukasa port, we shall have a maintenance facility for our vessels.
Thank you very much. Let me come to...
And if I may add, I heard that you had commissioned Namasagali, Busitama University, to be training.
Commissioning is not the word, because commissioning would mean that the facility is ready.
Because Namasagali is on River Nile.
Yes, we're on.
And so that capability is being brought.
Yes, we have a plan to start a marine training entity, unit, at Namasagali, working with Busitema University.
Yes.
And that's what is in offing.
It's just
but
offing.
We have not launched yet, because there's studies which must be done. You don't just wake up and put up a building there. Studies must be done.
Preparation.
And preparation must be done. And Mr. Mara must find the money in the budget to give me to start and also draw the curriculum, which will be followed in the training center. So there are a number of things which we have to do before we go into the physical.
You say, Honorable Minister, that's very disappointing, because this is not rocket science.
No,
and this is not news.
It's not rocket science, but you have
because
just said
listen, we have two vessels on Lake Choga.
We have more than 2.
At least from the part of Bukungu. There are 2.
Yes.
And you make commitments when you're commissioning these assets, as the training is going to happen at Namasagali, the training is going to come from Mwanza. We are going to get the curriculum, because there's a standard curriculum. And yet it is not there.
The curriculum is not standard. The curriculum for littoral water training is not the same curriculum for high seas. It's different.
So Lake Victoria is high sea?
No. We don't train in Mwanza, by the way.
Yeah.
We train in Dar es Salaam. The training is done in Dar es Salaam.
Okay.
For our mariners.
Anyway.
Honorable Bahati, you know, when I hear Honorable Salam Musumba, she raises the skepticism of the public. How do you get the public, including all of us seated here, to buy into this? Because it seems like it is government's project. How do you bring them on board to feel like they own what we are doing with the standard gauge rail?
This is one of them.
Well, I think the best thing we can achieve that is when we start building. And I think the Minister of Works has told you that he estimates in around 4 months we'll have finished the negotiations of financing, and then we start building. But also from the previous experience, this government led by President Museveni, you've seen we do what we say. We told you that this will happen. It is happening. It's going to happen in a few months from now. We've talked a number of things. Many people now have, they are waiting for oil. I think when they said, when Honorable Matia Kaseja mentioned that this year we shall have the drop, many people started, including Honorable Mara, were laughing whether we shall actually have the oil out of the ground. But you need to visit. You need to visit Albertine area and see what is happening. The kind of the economic activity taking place in the Albertine area, it's amazing. Things are happening. Things are happening, and we are happy because our economy continues to grow. It's one of the fastest growing economy on planet Earth at 7%. An economy that was resilient during COVID. You've seen that the shilling has been remained stable. All these things build confidence. People will have enough evidence to show that actually what this government says, it delivers it.
Finally,
so how does it trickle down from Albertine? Because when Busoga was providing electricity, the trickle down was very clear in industries. When the oil is coming from Hoima and Albertine, where's the trickle?
Well, there are so many ways that is going to happen.
Give me one.
And one of the things that we are working on now is Kabalega Industrial Park. You know, we have a refinery which is going to produce a number of products, and rather a number of things out of the refinery, and these will be processed, and industries are going to take place in the industrial park. Chemical industries that will do Vaseline, that will do all the things that we have been importing. The bitumen that he's using in the roads. All these things are going to happen, and this will also increase trade and industry. And when industry grows, jobs are created.
But even now the trickle down is there. There was Soga in Albertine doing fixing the.
Yes, and at the end of the day, Timos, it is important to note that what we are looking at, the reduction of the transportation costs will impact what Omara knows and others people know, what we call the bottom line, the profitability of business. It will reduce the cost of doing business and increase profitability. And when profitability increases, the economy grows. The economy grows.
And I'm glad you've ended with the economy. And trade, your docket, industry, cooperatives, there's going to be disruption. Because the standard gauge railway is going to use power. Power is one of your biggest enablers. With this disruption, what are your contingencies?
Well, we are talking about the issue of power. At the moment, we are producing close to 2,000 megawatts. Many people have talked about a surplus. And for us, from the industry side, we see no surplus. Because one factory for steel can consume 400 megawatts. Just one factory in Ichigezi for steel will consume 400 megawatts. So what has government done? Recently, with the cabinet, that we have approved money for building substations for industrial parks, 200 billion in cabinet. We hope that Parliament, Omara, will continue with this. We have also, President has directed
this is a borrowing
build.
Parliament.
We have also agreed to pass some money to build dams. One of them is Ayago. What is the other one? Is
you mean Ayago is still in the pipeline?
Yes. So building more. Our target is to have 40,000 megawatts in the next generated in the next 10 years, and that way, the disruption you are talking about will happen when we have more power. It's not going to disrupt us. It's actually going to facilitate us. The standard gauge railway will facilitate us. The General Katumba has told you, as we wait for the standard gauge railway, we have the meter gauge railway working. We have also put transportation on Lake Victoria. So things are happening. Things are happening, and what we need is to.
Allow me come to Honorable Samson. Honorable, reading about the East African Railway, the economic disparities between the countries, the ideological clashes, the political fractures there, how do we ensure that the 1977 ghosts don't come back to bite the standard gauge rail?
East Africa.
Well, it's not in one pact, the standard gauge. It's not in one pact, and so its vulnerability has been cushioned largely. That's why you see what I would want to call patchwork. You see that Uganda is last in the queue, even when it is the
center,
the heart, the hub, the transportation hub, or the transit area for all this, for the connectivity. If you recall the oil pipeline, the disruption when we cancelled our commitment with Kenya, of course there was an uproar. When we changed from Lamu to go down Dar es Salaam to Tanzania, it's partly what has caused the delay in standard gauge, that disruption between the pipeline and the railway. And so it cannot be fully immunized against disruption, but it might cause, the interdependency might cause harmony. Cause harmony because there's something for everybody to lose. And so when the stakes are high, there's every effort to hold on to what you have. And the East African community disruption in 1977 was much more about Cold War and that Cold War that we got caught up in. And egos, very huge egos. And so here, having an ego is a very costly thing in these times, because you are to lose. The level of connectivity does not allow us to indulge in that anymore. So you might safely say that 70% risk has been staved off. And there are also options. In the past, we didn't have many options, but now we do have options. And when we are not warmongering, and the cause of worry for the entire region, then we'll be good neighbors. And because our geography risks us being isolated, we will be compelled to deal better with our neighbors because of our geography.
Can I buttress what Madam Sumba said about the standard gauge is cushioned? Recently went in Mombasa, and it came down on all of us that 76% of the cargo through Mombasa is not for Kenya. It's for the interior.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons, actually, which has even made Kenya move to connect the standard gauge, because recovery of the loans is by charging the cargo on the rail. Now, by charging cargo, which was only moving from Mombasa to Nairobi, was not giving them good recovery. And so that's why making the connection to Uganda was making more sense, because 76% of the cargo coming in through Mombasa is for the interior. It comes to Uganda, South Sudan, and DRC. So that's why it now makes a lot of economic sense for Kenya to ensure that the connection is real.
But you also know we must watch out the risk of the transporters on land. The majority of the trucks, 40%, is business from Somalis. And so you must watch that. as competing. There are more people earning more out of trucking. And of course, they're likely to lose business. So there will be issues there to watch out for.
But Honorable Salam Musumba, how do you restore faith in this project for Ugandans to believe in it? Because come June, July, General has told us we're kicking off.
You see, this government suffers credibility issues. And this is part of the political DNA that we have sought to change throughout its life. If you go back into all the Hansards, the biggest chunk of the debate is corruption. From NPAT, non-performing assets, from divestiture, from Budagali, Isimba, Mpiji. We are not yet tamper-proof. And so that character has made Ugandans, and rightly so, they've lost faith in all these flowery tales that are being told on the panel today. How I wish we were launching a moving project, not a pipeline project, in the one which is in the pipeline, or at conceptual level. Because I thought this time around, there was no gestation period. I thought it was touch and go.
No, we have given you the time.
But now it is storytelling again. I will be back here in June, storytelling. Oh, you mean I meant this, I meant that. It's like they have a problem with English and commitment.
No, but
and
if I can interject
and
here,
therefore,
Salama.
you know, you're a sweet soothsayer, but under your docket, there's more corruption than even we can discuss here. Because you don't do the due diligence using modern tools. If, for instance, just in when you are doing a number plates, you can make a mistake on number plates, mere number plates, printing metal to put on a car. You can't get it right. You can't get it right, sir. So the docket of transport is full of scandals and loss and waste and all that. I would want the minister to look straight into the camera and assure Ugandans. Ugandans are bleeding. They'd like to believe you. They'd love to live well. But you're not making it possible for them.
Okay. Well, I think Honorable Salama, when she
listen,
says...
we can't even go through Ginger anymore because you won't make it alive. That road, the Ginger-Kampala Expressway, the trade route that brings the wealth of this country, is a porridge road. Porridge, you know, you can't get it right.
I think Timothy, we are shifting the main issue that brought us here.
Issue? He's talking
the
about
main issue
whether
was,
we can trust.
Was
rewiring confidence
East Africa.
Is what we are responding
yes, but I don't think you have evidence that can convince people that the people of Uganda have lost confidence in the government led by President Museveni.
Okay, may I put a
because if that was the case, if that was the case,
I haven't even stretched it that far.
If that was the case, the recent election would be different. No?
On the evidence we have on record.
Allow me to come to Honorable Bahati and General Katumba before I get to the two gentlemen here. Kenya will be conducting elections in 2027. When Kenya gets into this political cycle of theirs, last two cycles have not been good. How do you manage to insulate that this project continues from Kisumu to Malaba, because they say it might take them 2 or 4 years to get there? How do you manage that situation alongside the political change? And what if the government on their side changes? What does that mean for the SGR?
That one is not a question for us to, and it's a speculation, because how do we now debate in speculation? that there will be a change of government in
that there will
Kenya,
be chaos, that there will
which
be...
we have no control over. That they will not
or maybe to say this project is a Nyanza politics project. Nyanza region politics.
No, I think
so.
if
how do we
could
cushion this project again?
If you could put it other to say, now suppose things happen there, what will happen to the trade?
Exactly.
That's why we have corridor. We have two corridors. We have the northern corridor, that's from Mombasa coming through, and we have the central corridor from Dar es Salaam via the water.
Okay.
But as a neighbor,
Yes.
we can really tell we don't wish them
to have that
chaos, and we have full confidence in President Ruto, who is really a champion of the system, who is a champion of the East African community.
Yeah.
So we think we should not really go into speculation.
I will let the question go, even if you've dodged it, not to answer the political question. But I'll come back to Honorable Mara. Honorable Mara, it's 3 billion euros.
Yes.
Cost.
3 billion
euros.
Euros.
Yeah.
What is, and this is a project that is going to take 4 years.
Yeah.
What is the return on investment? How soon should we expect it to be able to see? Because Ugandans are going to pay from their taxes for this borrowed money. What is the return on investment? And how soon?
Now, Timothy, for the moment, you see, during the construction period, apart from the spillovers in terms of the jobs being created during the construction work, people are supplying cement, people who are supplying food, who are doing other, supplying raw materials for the construction work, the laborers that are, the laborers who are putting in their energies during the construction, those one will take immediate benefits in terms of the monies they will be getting. But after the construction period, immediately, as I was, in my opening statements, I was saying, when the standard gauge railway is completed, the minister should be able to issue an instrument that will now take off all the heavy trucks on our roads onto the rails. Now, so the impact will be immediate after the construction. And it depends on how active we would be, because what we want is immediate cost reduction, by 50%, which will contribute to the bottom lines of many of the companies that have been really importing these items from Mombasa. The second thing that we want to achieve is the efficiency that comes with it. The speed, the travel time, which will be completely reduced. So the return will definitely be there immediately after the construction. During the construction period, it's just a sunk cost. You're busy constructing, no returns. That's why the minister said, in the interim, we will be using the meter gauge as a solution. Immediately we finish construction, then we move on to the standard gauge. So the impact will be real. Permit me to say this, that we shouldn't lose the big picture of what has just happened. What is pushing this thing is basically the efforts toward East African integration. And President Museveni is a strong advocate who really wants East Africa to integrate. Maybe it will take us time to have political integration. But the economic integration is really imminent.
Economic is real.
Yes, and that's why all the presidents can no longer afford not to cooperate. It is economic interest bringing everybody together. So I don't see, I want to be more of an optimist. I don't hope to see this project fail, because everybody is pushing.
And is interested.
Kenya is interested not only in Uganda, but is in DRC. I just want to give you a quick example. The EU achieved both political and economic integration through that Maastricht Treaty by 1993. And one of the major things that they did was basically railway connectivity. And for them, they went for these fast trains. And between 1990 to 2024, EU had connected, there are 27 countries within the EU. They had already connected all those countries by rail, and now they even moved to electrified railways. They have connected, in terms of the kilometers of road coverage, over 200,000 kilometers, and they have created 3 million jobs. So within the EU, you just travel. It's borderless. There is no barriers. So let's bring it here, what is happening here. And Honorable Bahati has eloquently talked about the African Continental Free Trade Area and the efforts by the African leaders now through the EU auspices of the EU to connect Africa. And railway is going to be something that will do it. And so for me, I'm looking forward to this thing being really a big changer, because it will create jobs. How would it create jobs? You just imagine along the railway lines coming from Malaba up to Kampala here, there are going to be industrial parks that will come. Because, you know, I don't know how many stations General will develop for us along the route, but industrial parks will develop. Even if you are not closer to the railway lines, like in Lira there, the railway used to enter into this Lira spinning mill, crossing into Pakwach. So the industrial parks, we want it developed in Lira industrial parks through the Ministry of Trade. And all these industrial parks will create manufactured goods, which will basically be offloaded onto these trucks. When the industrialization happens, more jobs are created. So it is going to be very, very, very impactful. So the East African integration will be fast-tracked by railways. And how many countries do we have? 8 countries. 8 countries now having a common agenda of powering up their economies. Because the integration happens when there is economic interest. So all of us are interested in cashing onto the big economy in DRC. And I think South Sudan is another key one. So let us look forward that this, the standard gauge railway which we are seeing, the fast track which is still coming to Kampala, it will be heading everywhere to all these East African countries, which is under EAC. So that is what we should be looking at the integration. And one of the things also which we are looking at is the upgrade of logistics and the infrastructure. Now, General Katumba has just told you, currently we are going to use the meter gauge for the time being. In 48 months, when that thing is done, we are going to have a new infrastructure, a new upgrade, which is good for the country. You'll have new stations. And what is happening around those stations, there's a lot of economic activities. So as a country, we benefit. We are going to have new infrastructures, modern infrastructures. And by the way, maybe the General will give us an answer. For Kenya, when they built that standard gauge from Mombasa up to Naivasha, in the package, it also included the trains. Yeah, the trains, the wagons, locomotives, everything.
Yeah, we call it rolling stock.
Exactly.
It's all there.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Thank God. Because now the aspect of buying the Kwara ones that Masumba was talking about, the other one, what is it?
The locomotive.
The locomotive, the one which we brought, which could not fit even the standard, that will not be there.
1 meter.
Yeah, so the standard gauge railway, thank God, will come with
a package.
It's a package with the trains, with the wagons.
Locomotives.
The
rolling stock is there.
Even the passenger trains will be there. Ugandans will enjoy. So for me, just like Honorable Bahati has said, I think we haven't seen the best of our country. I'm more optimistic looking at the standard gauge railway coming, and many of us, by the way, might not even board planes going to Nairobi. Yeah. We'll just jump here on this
and enjoy the countryside.
And enjoy the countryside. Yeah. And we did that one from Mombasa to Nairobi, and then from Nairobi to Naivasha. You don't want to jump into a plane because the countryside is beautiful. So let us be more optimistic about our country. And if there are some challenges, I think General will have to manage it. The country is looking up to you to making sure there is a difference. And today also, as a finance committee of Parliament, and yesterday, we told the Minister of Finance, and the issue was around the clogging of our roads, the traffic jams. By the way, it is not General Katumba's problem. Because, for example, if you are given money, I don't think you'll fail to implement.
How?
So we are telling Finance Ministry, if you have money, and to increase the velocity of circulation of money for the traders to sell, why do you allow us to be clogged up in Kampala? You are the ones with the money. If you can clear this one going to Jinja, you clear this one going to Luero, this go to Gulu, you clear this one going to Masaka, and then this one going to Hoima. Even if you do 50 kilometers inside and it opens from there, here you have a dual carriage, the country will, URA will be able to collect more money than it's doing now. Okay. So I'm not going to put that problem on you. It's only when you are given money that's when we'll hold your feet on fire. Yeah. But Timothy, I'm looking forward very optimistically at the standard gauge railway and the initiative that the President Museveni is doing with the counterpart in Kenya.
Dr. Eli, when you look at this project, the standard gauge railway, what other tangible benefits offshore of this? But also secondly, is the market ready for the volume of trade coming from Uganda to the ports?
The Uganda government has, and I'm not a spokesperson for the Uganda government, it has got a 10-fold economic growth strategy, and their plan is that by 2040 it will be a $500 billion economy.
Billion shillings?
You have billion dollars. You have heard that we are at 64 billion. We are more, Honorable Minister, because that was 64 in June, and the economy has continued to grow, so we are above. But by 2040, they are saying that exports should be at 100 billion. So these are going out, and they are using transport. And we know that any economy which is growing will also be getting a lot of imports as raw materials. And then we know that within the economy, there will be what we call forward and backward linkages. This will be, the construction will end in 4 years. I think they said 48?
48 months, 4 years.
4 years. So in the 48 years, 4 years, in the next
2030, 2031.
Exactly, we will still be having about 10 years or so to get to the 500 billion economy. An economy which has to go to 500 billion economy, normally we'll have, and that's to $100 billion of exports, 100 billion or 150. That is standard economics.
Yes.
And this means that you will have manufacturing, you will have agribusiness, you will have minerals and minerals beneficiation and value addition contributing to this economy. You will have retail trade, and you will have services contributing. Now, they all need connectivity. And Timo said, the important thing is that it is and stands and ends with connectivity. That this rail system, which is very fast, is to connect Uganda with the members within the EAC, but even with the members outside of EAC. And so the onus now on the government is to ensure that production and productivity are selected, targeted and focused. And certain sectors should be clearly earmarked and supported. And it is to be sure that this is done. Because otherwise we lose the investment that we have put in an enabler, because the fiscal capital, which is the railway, is just an enabler, with power also as an enabler and others, and the legal regime and all these factors. So the next level now, actually, where we need, as my aunt Saram Soba has been saying, publicity and the government talking and assurances, is the encouragement of production, is the encouragement of value addition, is the encouragement of agri-industry, is the encouragement. We have a lot of minerals that can give us a lot of money. We need to think about those we need. I keep telling you that oil and gas, according to me, will not give us enough money, given the other calculations I've looked at. Actually, we have other minerals to give us more money than oil and gas. So we need to move to that level.
Okay.
And sophistication. Why diversification? Deepening diversification, widening diversification of the economy, encouraging human capital development, and encouraging people to produce for the market.
Thank you.
We will not get out without producing for the market.
Let me read some feedback before I give you parting shots. Are we building the standard gauge railway ahead of demand or in response to real bankable cargo flows? Uganda's export structure is still largely low volume, raw commodities, while imports dominate cargo volumes. Without deliberate investment in industrialization and value addition, can Uganda guarantee seamless regional connectivity, or will the SGR end at the border? Okay. You also continue and say, will the SGR actually lower the costs of doing business or simply shift costs? That's a very good question, and I hope the ministers have had it. This is Stephen. Thank you very much, Stephen. Killian says, thank you for the show. In basic economics, enablers such as roads, rail, infrastructure are key ingredients of growth. Therefore, the problem isn't the SGR per se, rather the management entirely of the process in terms of project management, political sentiments, management, and recent history of the Ministry of Works. As regard to the oil, I hope the team is informed that our first oil on how fast the ECOP can be done is at 83%. That is realistic, and the remaining 17%. This is, finally, Dr. Eli is informing that our country will feel the authority, but not live in expectations. Okay, interesting response there. Mwesigwa says he's a student at St. James in Jinja and is inquiring, has government ensured that the creation of jobs for especially the proportionate of young people that is more than 80%? Very good question there. The last two, thank you for the informative show. Okello from Kampala. Good evening. How can I wish all ministers should emulate what the ministers in the studio are saying. As an engineer and a profession, I am being answered with the questions I have had regarding the SGR. Thank you very much for the analysis, okay? Finally, my question is to the panel talking about reduction in costs of doing business while borrowing is a huge amount of money. Why is government proposing to increase taxes by 40%, yet we are going to reduce costs of business? Interesting. Money coming in one side and in the other. Finally, this is a person from Ajumani. It's a wonderful show, but as we may know that Uganda is Uganda, always good implementation, but the paper cannot leave it. How can the minister transfer the paper and the cases of the rats to that normally eat?
The cases of what?
That man-eating lion. Yeah. The one he's talking about.
So, gentlemen and ladies, and lady, I'll give you parting shots. I'll start with Dr. Honorable Proskovia, Honorable Bahati, and finally General Katumba. There.
Let me say this, that for almost 40 years, one of the things, what the government has done, and thank you, General, and others, is security. Security is an enabler people never talk about. Money hates noise. If we want investments, if we want to produce very well, security is a big enabler. So add it to railways, add it to power, and then be intentional and encourage production, encourage the ministries of government should encourage production and productivity. The Ministry of Agriculture, the ministry responsible for trade, those are the key ministries to encourage production.
Okay.
And the Ministry of Minerals. They should come in so that these enablers become meaningful. Production is meaningful. We produce. No country will get out of poverty without being in the market. We should be in the market.
Thank you. Honorable Mara.
Thank you very much. I think this project is a game changer. What I can say is that it will fasten the East African integration. It will help investors to have confidence in our country because they know they can now ferry their goods across different countries where they are involved. It will create jobs for us as a country. It will fasten our industrialization agenda. It will lower cost of production for the manufacturers and everybody involved in transporting commodities. So it's something that we should welcome and be more optimistic. I think our ask as a country is to the responsible ministries to just make sure that this project is executed to the hilt, so that within the time frame which is agreed, we have this thing happening so that we can see the reality and move our country forward.
Thank you very much. Honorable Salam Musumba.
I'd like first to acknowledge one person, Enos Tumuseme, who this country judged so harshly. And yet today, the very things he defended the rail for are the very things that you proudly acclaim. And I've kept wondering the resource in Enos Tumuseme, whether it has been utilized or has it been just dumped. It's really sad for me to make that acknowledgement. I would also love to be proved wrong in my pessimism. And I would wish the standard gauge railway well. I wish we would share the benefits of it. But judging from the communication, we need to do more. And the areas through which the project will be implemented need to be brought on board to benefit from this construction. And the local content is not that you should import people from other regions to follow the money. And when it comes to the big chunk of this standard gauge will go through Busoga. Busoga's poverty must be reduced. Employability must be enhanced. Don't treat us like the Budagali you did to us. You fleeced us, and you continue to fleece us. And you must account to the region called Busoga why the poverty levels are highest in this country when it is on the trade route to the rest of the country. And why, you need to give us answers why we are not included in the economic prosperity of this country.
Honorable Bahati.
Right. Let me end with 2 points, one on a good note and then on a sad note. The first one is that we welcome the construction of the standard gauge railway to reduce the cost of doing business, but also want to appeal to Ugandans that as government puts in place these infrastructures, the railway, the roads, the air, we must position ourselves to take advantage of this. We must position ourselves as traders, as industries, to be able to take advantage for the infrastructure government is putting in place. This is being done for Ugandans. And you Ugandans, please take advantage of this environment that we are putting in place. On a sad note, this evening, I received a note from Sister Naomi on the sad news of one of our staff here at UBC, Priska. Priska was a radio presenter at UBC Radio. She comes from Kabale. I want to take this opportunity to honor her contribution as a journalist and also as a person who fought long and hard to preserve the language of Bachiga, and she communicated very well. We honor the contribution that she made to this country and to the UBC. So I want to send my condolences to you, the UBC staff, and the country upon the loss of our sister Priska.
Receive your condolences. Lastly, General Katumba.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll first respond to the cost of the how the reductions will be. For example, right now to transport a container from Mombasa by road to Kampala is about $3,250 on road. On the standard gauge, we expect it to come to about 1,700. So you can see the reduction, almost half of that. And it was very annoying because I understand, I'm not a trader, but I understand that transporting a container from China to Mombasa is about $1,700. So it was more expensive to transport it from Mombasa to Kampala than even from China to Mombasa. So the standard gauge is going to be that game changer, which will bring that cost down. And that would mean that also the money which was being spent by the trade on the road will now possibly go in the pocket. I hear the concerns, local content. We are working with the leaders on all this, where the railway is going to pass, so that they can be able to identify, help us to identify credible local people to be employed by the contractor. Okay, this is how we are doing it. We may not be able to know who are the good people in Uganda and who are the good ones in Busembatia, but working through the leadership hierarchy, we'll be able to identify those local players and local content people to work on that. We are not going to get people from elsewhere to come and work in the sectors. You'll be, and we'll expect you to participate since you are your beneficiary. Again, on my parting shot is again, I'll join Honorable Mara to say, please, let's be optimistic about this. This reminds me when on a selfish note, when I was posted to police and people said, what's the army man going to do in police? Just useless. By the time I left, people said, why are they moving him from the police? So I know some people are saying this one will not work, but let's be optimistic. As already observed, let's all be optimistic that this is going to work. Have we stumbled? Yes, we did. Just like every, even marriages stumble and you pick yourself up. But let's all of us support this project because it's for the benefit of the country, for the benefit of the region, for the benefit of those who are involved in the trade business. I think we should all be supportive. And as Honorable Bahati was saying, let's get involved. Because you see the good roads where people are crying for roads, but what is the economic activity along those roads? You find muhogo being dried on the side. Yeah. Is that the best we can do? Maybe we should do better. So let's get involved. Let's take advantage of these infrastructures so that we better our economy in the pockets. And that's what I can say. But I also join Honorable Bahati in passing our condolence for that lady. Yes. I couldn't understand the Ruchiga, but I know she was a very good presenter on the radio. So our condolences to the UBC family and to the country.
Gentlemen and lady, thank you so much for coming and gracing us to be able to speak on such a patent issue. To the production team that has made today possible, thank you very much. But most especially you who has watched up to this hour and sent in a message, thank you very much. We'll end with this quote. A railway line does not just carry people, it carries the dreams of a nation. Good morning.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.